Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Randy's Old Time Radio Shows. And prepare yourselves for a journey beyond time, beyond logic, and possibly beyond grading curves. Tonight, we open the portal to Dr. Dimension, the thrilling, chilling, and occasionally confusing chronicles of one slightly off-centered college professor and brave, bewildered students who cracked the code of time travel and decided to ride the chaos like it's part of the curriculum. With a whir of gears and a questionable safety plan, they tumble through time, never quite knowing where or when they'll land. So buckle in, adjust your lab goggles, and whatever you do, don't touch the blinking button. This is Dr. Dimension.
Last episode.
All right, Krillman. Is there some sort of deal to be struck with you?
I've decided to lend a helping hand to get you out of this mess, and then who knows?
He placed the bow to the neck of his instrument and commenced sawing furiously. But Dr. D made no comment as he watched shimmering rainbows dance and cavort in the air around the visitor. Varicolored shapes gathered and parted. Pulsating spectra throbbed through the room, overwhelming everything and absorbing all into one gay celebration of color. Suddenly, with a gurgling noise, all the oceanic oneness seemed to go down the drain, and the bridge of the space-time ship coalesced into being once more. Demetrius found himself with his feet planted firmly back on metal. It was much as he'd left it an eternity ago. His companions still in the same poses, and the alien visitor still standing where he had before. However, there was a notable and significant difference now, a change that was crucial. Demetrius looked out the port and breathed an immense sigh of relief. The space that a moment ago had been clogged with masses of jagged metal and radioactive plasma was now devoid of everything but the jeweled glitter of starshine. There was no sign of the victorious starship, whose absence also went a long way toward calming the professor's nerves.
So what's your game, Krillman?
I was sent by the AAA.
The what?
The Anti-Anomaly Association. We're a non-profit group of highly advanced space intelligences who watch the proceedings in this galaxy and generally make sure that things muddle along properly and nobody gets hurt. Think of us as a interstellar B'nai B'rith. Now, I guess we can talk about the business of getting you back to your home planet.
Yeah, boy. First, though, I was rather hoping that our guest would tell us exactly who owned these space-going battleships.
Of course, least I can do. I gotta fill you in on some background. Here's how it is. In the beginning, there was darkness, nothingness, chaos, and Heinz 57 variety.
What?
Dr. Dimension, Episode 7.
In the beginning, there was darkness, nothingness, chaos, and Heinz 57 variety.
What?
I was only trying to put it in terms you'd understand. I'm talking about way back in the beginning of the universe, when things were pretty elemental. Says here on the can that these 57 varieties go a long way back.
Assume we know at least the rudiments of physical science and cosmology.
For God's sake, you're all mad if you listen to another word of this nonsense.
Why don't you sit down, Dr. Vernon?
Thank you. So, for the first time, life began in the universe. Only it wasn't so common as it is now. Now, intelligent races are a dime a dozen. But then, you could hardly find intelligence in the universe. In fact, there were only two really brainy races. One, inhabiting a planet named Lithonia, and the other one renting a planet, because they didn't think real estate was such a hard investment, called Prozatonia. Now, both these races were totally unlike life is today. They made them real strange back in those days. Both were pretty powerful, almost godlike. You couldn't quite tell whether they were made of matter or energy or what. They were kind of like half and half. Anyway, between the two of them, they pretty much ran everything in the universe. Okay, it's pretty hard to talk about good guys and bad guys when you're dealing with gods or near gods. But the lithiums were, how shall I put it, nasty critters. Albert Schweitzers they were. On the other hand, the Prozacs only wanted for the universe to be at peace. They liked joy and happiness, universal harmony and the stuff. The Prozacs were willing to live and let live. But the lithiums weren't. They started a war. Instead of doing it directly, they fought the war by proxy, using as puppets all the new races coming along in the new, improved universe. The little scuffle back there that you witnessed was fought by two of their current proxy races, the Pisons and the Prunes.
Absolutely astonishing. But let me get this straight. There are two basic but opposing forces in the universe.
Embodying the principles of good and evil?
You got it.
And these forces, constantly at odds, are presently doing battle in the forms of two spacefaring races, the Pisons and the Prunes, who we just witnessed battling.
Nice recapitulation job there. Now we can get along with the plot.
It's all very interesting, but don't you think we could wrap this up and get this ship back to Earth like you promised?
That's why I'm telling you about them, to warn you. It's best to be prepared. So, when I do give you a lift back to Earth, or whatever you call your planet, you should acquaint people with the situation out here. Be prepared for contact within a few eons.
That'll do our academic reputations loads of good. Spouting off about godlike aliens in outer space, they'll lock us up and throw away the key.
Not if we show them the recordings the ship has automatically made and the data it's gathered and stored.
Hit them with the facts. They gotta believe you.
Can you tell us more about these Pisons and what did you call them?
Prunes. Yeah, sure. What I'm going to do is just look up the material in the Encyclopedia Galactica.
Where are they?
Where's what?
Where are the books, the encyclopedias?
They're up here, kid, in my noggin. I got this little speaker embedded in my head. I'll just turn it on and let it talk.
The Prozacs and the Lithiums, the two great godlike races of the universe, had battled each other for eons. As eternities of time passed, these mortal enemies and eternal combatants, the Prozacs and the Lithiums, took to fighting their intergalactic wars through proxy races, the latest of which are the Pisons and the Prunes. The Pisons are a fun-loving race of quasi-bird-like beings, whose home world is a tropical paradise featuring thousands of casinos and lots of little strip joints that don't charge a cover or try to stick customers with overpriced drinks. The Prunes are the indigenous race of the planet Hammeroid and have a decidedly expansionist universe view. They are wont to raid strip joints and shut down gambling operations and generally spoil the hell out of everyone else's fun. In time, the Prunes encountered the far outpost of the Pison Confederation. The Prunes scrutinized this new civilization and did not like what they saw. Pleasure, cheap thrills, naked anatomical parts. Coldly and with deliberate calculation, the Prunes began to draw up plans for invasion of the Pison Confederation. And it is at this point in our story that you guys get involved.
How did it know about us at the end there?
I just threw that in as a gag. After all, I am a comedian. I do it for a living.
Why don't you start thinking about your job as a good Samaritan? You promised to get us back to Earth.
Yeah, Earth. Just a minute.
Krillman took up his fiddle and put it to his chin. He bowed and stroked tentatively, then played a sequence of notes. Before long, a 3D panoramic display of stars and nebulas appeared above his head.
1,000 points of light.
It's a hologram, a star chart. Now, Doctor, if you'd care to shoot me the astronomical information you said you had, we got a chance of pegging the exact location of your star system.
Well...
Why?
I'm really not so sure we're in our home galaxy.
What about this one over here? Is this your galaxy?
Doesn't look familiar. Do you know where Andromeda is?
Andromeda?
Andromeda is our name for it. You wouldn't know it by that name.
Is it this one over here?
Nope. At least I don't think so.
You guys anywhere near the Lucite Nebula?
Not hardly.
How about this fine globular cluster over here?
Can't say I recognize it.
We're getting nowhere fast. What kind of star is it? White, red, blue, yellow.
Yellow.
Okay, that narrows it down some. Down to about 6 trillion stars.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. We can do it, though. It'll take a century of searching by computer.
We're lost. Doomed.
That's the fighting spirit. Never say die. Well, This ain't doing us a bit of good. Listen, there's only one thing I can do under the circumstances. According to the AAA regulations, you get one free tow to the nearest garage or the equivalent.
Well, that's something. Maybe we can get this crate fixed.
Well, then, that's it, folks. One free tow coming up. Hey, it's been great meeting you all. Before I wind it up, though, I'd like to leave you with this one little thought. A guy walks into a doctor's office with a chicken on his head.
Oh, God.
The doctor says, "What are you doing with a chicken on your head?" And the chicken says to the doctor, "Hey, not with my wife, you don't."
I don't get it.
Oh, well, nothing's perfect. Anyway, now, I'd like to finish up with a big number, an original composition of my own by Felix Mendelssohn. And the one, and the two,
Out of control again. The ship seemed to tumble end over end as Dr. Demopoulos hurtled along with it, awash in a painter's palette of color. Garish pink and blue light invaded his eyes, swirled into his brain, taking root there to blossom. Desperately he clung to consciousness, but consciousness had other ideas. It slipped from his grasp, and the good doctor plummeted, splashing into the dark river of oblivion. Demetrius was the first to get unsteadily to his feet. He counted heads. Everyone accounted for, with the exception of Krillman. He sat at the control console and took a look out the viewport. Instead of the glitter of distant suns against the dark velvet of space, there appeared a network of shadowy tunnels, like the interior of an anthill or termite mound.
Doc, this doesn't look like Flightheimer University to me.
Where the hell are we? Krillman, would you care to explain? Hey, where's Krillman?
He's not anywhere in the ship.
Did you check the bathroom?
The door reads occupado, but there's no one in there.
I didn't see him go anywhere. He must have left the way he came.
Dr. D, where in the world is this place?
This place isn't in our world, I'm willing to bet. It does appear, though, that we're inside some sort of enclosure with, tunnels.
Brilliant observation.
Okay, Viv, you take a guess.
Looks like we're underground.
But those walls look too smooth. That's not rock, surely. Nor is it dirt.
It looks like intestines.
Yuck! A huge space monster swallowed us?
Krillman said he'd tow us to a garage, so this must be it.
Funny kind of garage.
Well, we can sit here and wait for the mechanic if there's one here, or we can go out and take a look around.
Dr. Demopoulos, you know that if there's no atmosphere or the wrong atmosphere, we'll be in horrible trouble.
Why don't we consult the atmosphere sensors? Here we are. Remember these dials? We installed them, but didn't have time to figure them out.
Here, let me look at them. I think they're reading oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon dioxide.
And in a tolerable mixture at a tolerable pressure, though it does look a little thin on the oxy and rich on the carbon dioxide. But not enough to worry. Well, gang, are you up to it?
Count me in, Doctor.
Actually, I think I could use a nap. Why don't you three shuffle off and Jeffrey and I will guard the fort?
Doctor, they're stowaways. Worse, they're academic rivals. Do you think it wise to leave them here?
Someone has to keep an eye on the ship, Diane. Vivian's quite right.
Are we going out, Doc?
We are, the three of us. Let's get together what supplies we can. Vivian, if we don't report back within 2 hours...
Yes?
You're plumb out of luck. What's the matter, Viv? You look a little green about the gills.
Those beans didn't agree with me.
Sorry to hear it. I, for one, am looking forward to the olfactory possibilities of being cooped up in a tiny space with a bunch of people who have nothing to eat but beans. Let's get cracking, Marines.
Right you are, Doc. I'll get another pistol out of the ordnance locker and meet you outside.
Check. Jeffrey, hand me that shotgun.
Here, take it. Seriously, Demetrius, what do you suggest we do if you people don't come back?
Come looking for us.
No.
Come here and give me a group hug, you two. I just want to say that if we never see one another again, well, we'll always have Paris.
Just go.
Yeah, but I've never been to Paris.
Throw me out like a worn-out shoe. Use me, abuse me. I'm just a toy.
Lunatic, that's what you are. Look what you've done to us. Here we are, light years away from our planet, stuck in the middle of God knows what monstrous thing, and all you can do is joke about it.
See here, Wussman. Take this shotgun and do the right thing. Poor girl can't make it. Put her out of her misery.
Don't be silly. Demetrius, take this thing back.
Keep it, Jeff. I just realized you'll need something to defend yourself when they attack.
When who attacks? Demetrius, who is going to attack? Demetrius!
Whoever owns this crazy rocket ship, that's who. Good luck, kids.
I'm really disappointed in you, Jeffrey. No, strike that. I'm absolutely ashamed. You've displayed nothing but absolute cowardice throughout this whole affair.
You're going to beat me?
You don't deserve such pleasure.
Can I have a kiss?
Certainly not. Figure out how to get us out of this fine mess you've gotten us into.
Well, you were the one who insisted on burglarizing the lab.
And if you hadn't lost control of the Fleitheimers, there wouldn't have been any need to do it.
I think you still love me.
Oh, snap out of it.
But I adore you, Vivian, dearest. I can't think of anything but you. Come here, into my arms, you adorable vixen.
Take that, you oversexed boob.
Thanks. I needed that. Where are we? Who am I?
That's the Lucy I know and love. Now, let me bounce some things off your head.
Ooh, really?
Listen up, idiot. First of all, we're going to have to dump Demetrius and his idiotic sidekick.
Of course, my love.
And then we're going to have to get this boat back to the university.
Naturally.
It's our ticket to not just control the physics department, it could make us famous and absolutely stinking rich.
Could I just be rich?
So, are you for it?
Oh, I certainly am.
For rubbing out Demetrius and company.
Rubbing?
Making them walk the plank.
You don't mean
All
that.
I mean is leaving them here.
Oh.
Yes, we'll get the ship fixed and leave on our own. We'll get back to Earth, make up some story about our valiant companions getting lost, and take all the credit. I hate to admit it, but this insane contraption just might be the scientific breakthrough of all time.
But it wouldn't do just to go off and leave Demetrius and his assistants. I just don't know.
You're right. We should kill them.
Kill them? You shouldn't joke like that. Why, we could get the electric chair.
Jeffrey, think. We're light years beyond the silly laws of Earth. Out here, in deepest space, it's the survival of the fittest.
I thought that was in the jungle.
That's the way it is out here, too, my dear. Don't you think that even as we speak, the doctor and those dim-wit assistants of his are plotting our demise?
Yeah, I don't believe it.
Wandering out there was just an excuse to regroup. They're going to come back, probably in league with hideous space monsters.
Well, I'm going to the bathroom.
Jeffrey, no use in hiding.
Aliens coming. I bet they won't even have toilet paper either. What a universe. I really could use some milk and magnesia.
Vivian Vernon, on the other hand, was absolutely invigorated by the challenge. Now that she had some time to think, she realized what was at stake. No longer was it just a matter of a paltry grant. Now there was a world, no, a cosmos of power to contend for. She thought of the glittering stars she had seen. To think that her destiny was woven into the stars. She loved that phrase. It was so mystical. Her moment was at hand. Carpe diem. Seize the day and squeeze every last ounce of possibility from it. Now, what to do first? First, she would have to go up and get a good look at that twisted rotor blade. There must be some way of bending it back. This plan of action was immediately interrupted by a loud banging against the hatch. She got up, went to the hatch, and listened.
Hello? Who's there?
Who is it, Vivian?
I don't know. Who's out there?
Who else could it be? It's me, Demetrius, back with Jeffrey's toilet paper.
But I don't think we ought to.
Please, I'm really going to need it soon. I hope.
Oh, very well.
Jeffrey Wussman, Ph.D., heard Vivian's screams and was afraid, very afraid. In a sudden deliverance, his constipation problem was solved. He groaned with relief. But now another problem immediately presented.
Jeffrey, help! Help!
Right out.
It's got me! Help me, Jeffrey!
If you'll just wait a sec.
Really, this was the awfulest thing he could imagine. The love of his life was out there in the clutches of who knew what hideous creature, and here he was, embarrassingly indisposed and unable to help, unless... He rooted through the pockets of his patchwork pants. Hooray, he thought to himself as he pulled out a wad of tissue paper. After unraveling the crumpled mass into something usable, he used it. In just a few seconds, he had himself hitched up and ready to dash to the rescue. But he hesitated, listening to Vivian's horrid shrieking. What exactly was out there? He had no weapon. What could he do? Then quickly something rose in him. His gorge, for one thing, but also something resembling courage. He loved that woman. If she died, he couldn't face life. He was sure of that. He got a hold of himself and pushed the handle of the door open. He was greeted by a look on Vivian's face that nearly screamed, "What took you so long?" Stepping out into the compartment, Wussman beheld a strange sight. Vivian was the prisoner of pink spaghetti, wrapped head to foot in thousands of tiny strands of wriggling, writhing vermicelli. The entire bunched-together bundle of it, congealed and glistening, trailed out the hatch and downward in a long, trunk-like mass.
What is that stuff?
How the hell would I know? Get it off me!
But...
Get a knife or something. Cut it.
Yeah, right. You know where they keep the knives?
You stupid jerk. How the hell should I know where they keep the knives? Look for them. Try those storage compartments.
I'll try these ones on the left. Oh, nothing but blankets. I'll try this one over here.
Jeffrey, look out!
What?
Your foot!
He looked down. One strand of pink linguine had wrapped itself about his ankle. He felt it constrict. He tugged, and it tugged back. As he watched in horror, several reinforcing strands reached outward to join the first, encircling his ankle and calf. Whatever the stuff was, it had him. As more of the strands snared his other leg, he felt himself being pulled toward the larger mass.
Viv, dear, I'm afraid it's got me, too.
I can see that, dummy.
In no time, Jeffrey was completely enwrapped, hog-tied and helpless. The whole pink mess then began to withdraw, spilling out the hatch. Grim-faced, but resigned to their fate, Vivian and Jeffrey flowed out with the noodly ebb tide.
Last episode.
But let me get this straight. There are two basic but opposing forces in the universe.
Embodying the principles of good and evil?
You got it.
And these forces, constantly at odds, are presently doing battle in the forms of two spacefaring races, the Pisons and the Prunes, who we just witnessed battling.
Nice recapitulation job there. Now, there's only one thing I can do under the circumstances. According to the AAA regulations, you get one free tow to the nearest garage or the equivalent.
Maybe we can get this crate fixed.
One free tow coming up.
The ship seemed to tumble end over end as Dr. Demopoulos hurtled along with it, awash in a painter's palette of color.
Doc, this doesn't look like Flightheimer University to me.
Dr. D, where in the world is this place?
Inside some sort of enclosure with, tunnels.
Looks like intestines.
Yuck! A huge space monster swallowed us?
Well, we can sit here and wait for the mechanic if there's one here, or we can go out and take a look around.
Why don't you three shuffle off and Jeffrey and I will guard the fort?
Vivian, if we don't report back within 2 hours,
Yes?
you're plumb out of luck.
We're going to have to dump Demetrius and his idiotic sidekick.
Of course, my love.
And then we're going to have to get this boat back to the university.
But it wouldn't do just to go off and leave Demetrius and his assistants. I just don't know.
You're right. We should kill them.
Kill them? You shouldn't joke like that. Why, we could get the electric chair.
Jeffrey, out here in deepest space, it's the survival of the fittest.
Well, I'm going to the bathroom.
Jeffrey, no use in hiding.
Aliens coming. I bet they won't even have toilet paper either. What a universe.
Who's there?
Who is it, Vivian?
I don't know. Who's out there?
Who else could it be? It's me, Demetrius. Back with Jeffrey's toilet paper.
Let him in.
Oh, very well.
Stepping out into the compartment, Wussman beheld a strange sight. Vivian was the prisoner of pink spaghetti, wrapped head to foot in thousands of tiny strands of wriggling, writhing vermicelli. In no time, Jeffrey was completely enwrapped, hog-tied and helpless. The whole pink mess then began to withdraw, spilling out the hatch. Grim-faced, but resigned to their fate, Vivian and Jeffrey flowed out with the noodly ebb tide.
Dr. Dimension, Episode 8.
The walls of the giant spaceship were not exactly featureless. They bulged here and there, and in places they bore odd, ill-defined contours. Some sections were blotched and mottled. In other places, the surfaces were rippled or warped. But for the most part, the environment was a warren of tube-like tunnels, like the inside of a pile of congealed pink spaghetti.
Gee, Doc, not much to this place, is there?
It does have a rather minimal look to it.
Creepy is more like it. I can swear these walls are moving.
They are, and their movement resembles peristaltic action, heaving like an intestine. Maybe we are stuck inside the gullet of some giant creature, like spacefaring Jonahs.
Wouldn't that be something?
That would explain the foul odor, which seems to have abated a bit.
So, what do you think then, Dr. D? Are we in a spaceship or inside an alien space creature?
Maybe a bit of both. Do you smell something new?
Sour milk.
We're on the mothership!
The mothership?
The mother of all motherships from the size of it.
I wonder where all the little baby ships are.
Frankly, I don't know what to make of this dump, but I have a number of theories. The problem is putting them to empirical test.
Seems to me the simplest way to find out about this place would be to ask the people who live here.
There must be some way of announcing ourselves.
Not that way, Troy.
Please show a little diplomatic protocol. Use proper terminology and appropriate honorifics when dealing with aliens. Yo! Hey, tentacle breath! Anybody home, or did you just leave your lights on?
I'll sue you for everything you've got. You won't have 2 pennies to rub together after I get done with you, you rotten crate.
Vivian Vernon shouted demands to see her lawyer, the resident United States diplomat, or both. Wussman merely whimpered. When it became clear that her demands would remain unmet, Vivian began detailing the hypothetical and improbable sexual proclivities of the pair's unseen captives. This tactic proved fruitless as well, and Wussman began to pray. The moving pasta mass whisked them through tunnel after tunnel, seeming to move knowingly through the maze.
If you had any idea of the number of important and influential people in the United States government that I happen to personally know and even be friends with, you'd be shaking in your boots, you lousy, no-good sons of...
Vivian!
What?
Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to whoever the hell is... Oh, God, I think I'm going insane.
Vivian, darling, keep your chin up. We'll get through this. We will, I promise.
At long last, they reached a destination of sorts. It was a large chamber into which several tunnels converged. Here they were unceremoniously dumped and set loose. The squirmy, vermiform mass dispersed, withdrawing into the walls and disappearing without a trace. The 2 captives were free, but not free to go. Strange tubular appendages extruded from the walls and surrounded them, blocking escape. Some had lenses on their ends, and these bizarre instruments proceeded to scan, scrutinize, and examine. A rose-colored light flooded the chamber. Arms with 3-fingered hands reached out from the walls, poked and prodded the captives, then withdrew. Finally, a disembodied nasal voice said,
"What sort of creatures are you?"
We're human beings.
You're very odd creatures. You don't look like one another.
You know, I'm male, and she's female.
Bipolar sexuality? How perverted. Well, at least you can communicate half intelligibly. However, you have a lot of explaining to do. Just how did that primitive ship of yours get onto level 7, tunnel 192, right in our empty storage areas?
Yeah, well, actually, it isn't our ship. It belongs to Demetrius Demopoulos.
What a strange-sounding name. But of course, creatures as perverse and unnatural as you would have an outrageous language and nomenclature. Where is this misbegotten creature?
Well, he went out to explore this place you have here.
This is a space vessel.
Well, he went out to explore.
Attack it, you mean, from within?
Well, I don't think he had that in mind.
He carries weapons.
Oh, those. Well, what space vessel is this?
You are aboard the Imperial, super outrageously humongous, star-straddling flagship of the cosmos, the Vindicator, owned and operated by none other than we, the universal keepers of true morality, the fear and just this side of immortal prunes of the heavenly and faithful planet of no one at all.
Prunes, thought Dr. Vernon. Of course. These were the nasty creatures that Krillman had spoken so negatively about. How wonderful of him to plop their ship right in their midst. But then, at least there was communication happening here, and even though they were plainly immune to her feminine attributes, indeed seemed to find them rather disgusting, at least they might be vulnerable to her feminine wiles.
Prunes! Oh, you're the guys who were fighting the Pisons, right? You're the folks who've been carrying on such a noble and excellent crusade in the cosmos.
You've heard of us, even though you're clearly from a planet not of our knowledge.
That's right. And you know what? There's a very good chance that we can help you.
It's questionable that a superior race like ours actually needs help, but your sentiment is politically correct, and you bear the marks of creatures who are willing to be educated.
Can we talk this over face to face? We're feeling a little uneasy here, like bugs under a microscope, you know?
But you are bugs under a microscope. Your intellectual filth that we have just wiped off our boots. Your common space bacteria who cannot even aspire to our lofty range of morality and intellect.
Yes, but we know something you don't.
You do?
Something really, really juicy.
Oh? What?
We know where there's a planet that's quite the naughty planet.
Yes. A planet that could really use a good spanking. And you just might be the big and noble creatures just right to give it to them.
Yes. We're always looking for naughty planets. Which one is this?
It's called Earth.
Wow, another ship.
Finally, they seemed to have arrived at some destination. A membrane ahead dilated and admitted them into another spacious, irregularly shaped chamber. And in the middle of it stood something surprising, a spaceship. This was no great surprise as such, and actually it was a relief from the monotony of all those endless corridors. And after all, a large mothership was bound to have tiny little baby ships. Demetrius had already hypothesized as much. However, there were definitely incongruous things about this ship, unexpectedly incongruous. For one, the lines and angles of the ship were decidedly at odds with those of the hallway. For another, it somehow was fitted into a cavern of the hallway, rather like a crab in a seashell, its nose poking out only slightly.
What do you think, Doc? Another bunch of breathless space travelers lost in space and time?
Oh, speak for yourself, Talbot. I feel quite comfortable in this situation. I am not lost, only exploring. Now then, let's have a look.
Okie dokie. I'll just knock on the entry hatch.
We need someone who might tell us something, anything about exactly where we are.
As it turned out, they were in luck. The door opened with a squeak of rusty hinges. 4 eyes peeked out from the gloom.
Yeah? Stand a little further back. I warn you, I've got a pretty big blaster here.
If you and your friend would care to step out so we can see, we'll raise our hands in the air to show you that we are unarmed. Perhaps we can make friends.
The 4 eyes stepped out from the spaceship. They were attached to one being. They wiggled above a bald dome like a hunchback who uses his hump for a head. 2 arms, 2 legs, draped with a kind of purple velvet with tassels, and, as promised, The triple-jointed arm held a weapon like a weirdly assembled bunch of tinker toys with a multicolored lamp in its middle.
Howdy. I'm Troy Talbot, and you must be an alien. Well, this trip just keeps getting better and better.
An alien that speaks English. Pretty curious.
The same variety of English as dizzy old Krillman, I bet.
Krillman, are you in cahoots with that villain?
He was supposed to send us back to Earth. Instead, we landed here.
The problem is, we don't exactly know where here is.
Well, I'm not surprised. That Krillman fellow is an absolute menace. He should be reported to that AAA place he claims he's from.
Perhaps he's some sort of recruiter for rats to run this maze.
Do you have any clue where we are?
You really don't know.
We only just got here.
The party-colored eyes blinked incredulously. Bits of its body wobbled gelatinously. Dr. D presumed this was the display for some sort of emotion, but its exact nature was difficult to determine.
Well, folks, sorry to break it to you this way, but you've just landed on the biggest ship in the universe. A ship about the size of a small planet. It's a mothership. And it belongs to the meanest mothershippers in the whole universe.
You don't mean?
Yes, I do mean. And I do mean the prunes.
The planet is called Earth, and that's where we're from. And we're just the people who can tell you how to get there, and how to run it, and who the really naughty people are there. And taking it over will be a lot easier than duking it out with those difficult Python creatures. Not only are morals low on Earth, so is technology.
Dear, yes, and all the universities there are in sore need of better guidance than they're getting.
Absolutely. So what about a deal? We help you conquer Earth, and you put us in charge of the universities there.
Perfect. Absolutely wonderful. No sooner had the thought sprung to her mind than it blasted off out of her mind fully formed and complete. Why, this was turning out even better than she'd possibly imagined. There'd be no need now to show off a silly new kind of engine and grapple their way on some ladder to success. They'd just help these weird beings, show them the way, and then accept the spoils. Oh, there might be some death rays blasted here and there, and maybe directed at a few bothersome professors, a little muss and fuss, maybe some casual genocide, but hey, as Joe Stalin had said, you gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet. Well, he didn't exactly say that, but never mind. Besides, in the end, Earth would be a far better planet, and certainly it would have better universities.
How intriguing.
So, is it a deal?
You have very far to go, mind you. But it is good that you are willing to essay a moral turnabout. And by the way, conquering this planet of yours and putting it upon the path to proper conduct is an excellent concept. We're always on the lookout for worlds needy of our firm hand.
Then we can talk about this?
Yes, let's do talk. We've already examined you anyway, and you seem harmless enough.
They walked into a room with considerably more furniture than an examination-interrogation room, but somehow just as severe. There was a door on the other side of the room marked Recreation Room. A sign across it read, Closed indefinitely. With great ceremonial dignity, a creature much like the ones that had carted the doctors there entered, with two other prunes by his, her, its side. The creature was wearing a long, flowing robe, completely hiding its body. Its face was partially hidden behind what looked for all the world to be a Groucho Marx mask. Bushy eyebrows, spectacles, hooked nose, and mustache.
Jeffrey, I think we've concocted a superior plan.
I get Harvard University.
Don't count your universities before they're hatched. We've got a long way to go yet.
Release them of their fetters.
The other creatures, masked like the one who commanded them, scurried forward and unlatched the cuffs on Vernon and Wussman. Their robes had sleeves that accommodated multiple tentacles.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I don't suppose you'd have an Alka-Seltzer, would you? Ow! Why did you slap me, Dick?
Excellent. I approve of your chastisement. Clearly, you keep your natty in line, a true sign of the rudiments of civilization. I am the Grand Prune, resident counselor and general head of the Prune Turnabout, and also, by the way, head inquisitor.
Why is he wearing that Groucho Marx mask anyway? Do they get comedy movies out here?
Must be coincidence.
Yes, darling, but you really must. Ow! That one hurt.
Is this some life of human beings that I'm not familiar with?
We were just admiring the nobility of your carriage and the courage that shows on your face, to say nothing of your integrity.
I'm glad that it shows through this regal mask I wear. Thank you. And how, by the way, do you like our masks? Items that you do not seem to have. You go about with naked faces, although in truth, you do not seem to have much to hide.
Wonderful.
Gorgeous.
Excellent. Then you'll be asked to wear the same, so that we will no longer be subjected to the stark and shameful, ugly nakedness of your human face.
Well, I really don't think
we'd be happy to wear the mask. Indeed, it would be a wonderful honor.
The Grand Prune nodded and then clapped his hands. Immediately, a prune servant trundled out, carrying 2 Groucho Marx masks and handing them to Doctors Vernon and Wussman. Vivian checked hers. She put hers on and then looked over at Wussman, who had also donned his.
You know, you remind me of someone.
I once shot an elephant in my pajamas. What it was doing in my pajamas, I'll never know.
Stop that this minute. I cannot abide laughter. It signifies fun. And fun inevitably implies immorality and degradation.
He stomped up and down, his Groucho Marx mask wobbling precariously on his face. Vivian Vernon could not help but wonder what the mask hid. What kind of nose did the thing have? Curious, did all advanced interstellar species have nose problems? She and Wussman stopped chuckling immediately. No sense in spoiling a good thing.
Oh, 1,000 apologies.
You can see that we need instruction, but we shall aspire to your high achievements. You may be my companion here if you like.
Wait a minute.
You men there, take him into the other room and give it a go.
Thank you for your wonderful instruction.
Now then, let us discuss the best way to get to Earth.
Well, first off, we're going to have to deal with a certain troublesome doctor and his fellow stowaways aboard our spaceship. And my goodness, have they ever been naughty?
Dr. Dimension by John DeChancy and David Bischoff. Produced and directed by Steve Ziplo for Ziplo Productions. Featuring the voice talents of John David Rose, Gil Gilbert, Porter Thompson, Candace Cullen, Brad Tholen, Whitney McDaniel, John Earing, Russell Jones, Betty Starrett, and Steve Ziplo. Engineered by Brad Tholen. Music by Tommy Beaumont.
Lost episode.
Howdy. I'm Troy Talbot. You must be an alien. Well, this trip just keeps getting better and better.
An alien that speaks English. Pretty curious.
The same variety of English as dizzy old Krillman, I bet.
Krillman, are you in cahoots with that villain?
He was supposed to send us back to Earth. Instead, we landed here.
The problem is, we don't exactly know where here is.
Say, do you have any clue where we are?
You've just landed on the biggest ship in the universe. A ship about the size of a small planet. It's a mothership. And it belongs to the meanest mothershippers in the whole universe.
You don't mean?
Yes, I do mean. And I do mean. The prunes.
So what about a deal? We help you conquer Earth, and you put us in charge of the universities there.
On the lookout for worse need of our firm hand.
Then we can talk about this?
Yes, let's do talk.
Dr. Dimension, Episode 9.
Dr. Dimopoulos had to admit that in the entirety of his admittedly dodgy career, he'd never before careened and kilted from disastrous event to disastrous event with such speed. The explosion, the near success of his rivals to ruin the physics department, the catapulting into who knows when, who knows where, utilizing the, let's face it, who knows what drive. Bumbling into a space battle, nearly getting crunched, and then saved by a being with the strange name of Krillman, who in turn handily delivered them from the atomic frying pan into the atomic fire. If it all wasn't so exhilarating, it would be all simply too much. Running into this alien here, of course, could not be considered disastrous, but it nonetheless had that definite potentiality. Dr. D wasn't sure whether it was the way the thing's eyes tilted or the way it would froth at its mouth on certain words, but it definitely felt like trouble.
We're on the Prune's mothership. I guess the first appropriate thing to ask is, A, how do we get a hold of Krillman, and B, what do we do with him when we do get hold of him?
I've got a few suggestions on that one, and two involve a cauldron of boiling oil.
I sense much anger here. I, too, was angry until I ascertained that I should get even. And then, when I examined fully the nature of the universe and my meditations here in the belly of this space whale, I concluded that I should not blame the being known as Krillman. For it is not true, as one of the ancient masters of our universe said, Squiggly, I believe his name was, that the underlying principles of the universe are not merely absurd, they are goofy.
Oh, and who made them goofy? What does Squiggly say about that?
His answer would have been the sound of one tentacle slapping.
An alien Zen master. How fascinating.
Although philosophy hasn't seemed to do you much good in getting out of this place.
Well, as long as the Prunes haven't found you or found us, I would rather imagine that time is something we've got plenty of.
Speak for yourself. I'd like to get back to Earth.
Yeah, the football team needs me.
Talbot, they need you like they need a bad cold. How can you think of football at a time like this? This is mankind's greatest adventure. The awe, the mystery, remember? Don't you want to travel to the farthest ends of the universe?
I'd rather do an end run and score a touchdown.
You're hopeless.
We have not yet exchanged names.
Excuse my bad manners. I am Dr. Demetrius Dimopoulos, and this bodacious blonde of a figure here is Diane Derry. And that mindless hunk is called Troy Talbot. And what are you called, sir?
My name is Spawn.
Spawn, eh? Well, pleased to meet you.
Gladness is in my circulatory pump. Please enter my humble abode. I shall serve tea.
Silently mouthing tea and exchanging baffled looks, the Earthman went in. The inside of the ship was peculiar, but hardly stranger than the weirdness outside. In fact, it looked positively homey. The tea reminded Dr. D more of cod liver oil floating in water than actual tea, but he did not say anything to offend their host. Troy, who was a big cod liver oil fan, slurped happily. An hour or so later, Dr. D and friends were still listening to Spawn's expositions on alien philosophy, their cod liver tea long since gone cold, all having something to do with the eternal cycle of door-to-door karma salesmen. Dr. D, who used the opportunity to take a short catnap, feeling refreshed and more than a little bored, interrupted the proceedings politely by asking for a warm-up on his tea, and then gently prodding Spawn on exactly what alien philosophy really had to do with getting them all out of the clutches of the bad guys.
After all, it is a fairly basic plot situation, a problem that indicates the need for a solution.
You clearly don't understand, Doctor. But perhaps you're right. I could expedite my summary somewhat. I guess what I'm getting at is that I was so frustrated by the loop-de-loops of philosophy that I just got inside my spaceship and split, searching for the truth. What I ran smack into, though, was this huge space battle.
Hey, Doc, just like us.
And that's when old Krillman popped into your ship's cabin saying that he was going to solve all your problems.
This is true, although it was some time ago. And if I can only unwind our discussion about philosophy and ethics and the basics of the meaning of life and the warring parties of the cosmos, then maybe I'd have a clue on how to get us all out of this situation.
Seems to me that's a dialogue that could go on for a very long time indeed.
It's already been going on long enough that I'm hungry again. I sure could use some more of those Heinz pork and beans. I lost that can I had.
What did you say?
I said I was hungry. You wouldn't have any human being food around, would you?
No, I mean what you said about what you were hungry for.
Well, Heinz beans, of course. Pork and beans, to be precise.
That's it. That's what I've been looking for. You say you've got the Heinz beans?
Yep.
The sacred 57 varieties. The very foundation of our metaphysical alchemy. How can this be? This is too wonderful.
But exactly how is this going to help us get out of here?
Krillman was excited about the beans, too, but all he wanted to do was eat them.
That's because he hasn't done the in-depth quantum philosophic studies that I have concerning the Heinz 57 varieties. They're the very foundation of everything. Matter, energy, life, death. To say nothing of the makings of a consummate picnic.
I don't understand, Spawn. What does this have to do with getting away from the prunes?
I'm sorry. You couldn't possibly understand. You see, most of my problem wasn't being lost when I ran into that space battle. My engine runs on Heinz tomato soup or pork and beans and water, and I ran out.
You mean?
Yes, it makes great rocket fuel. Take me back to your ship. Get me some of your supplies of that wonderful stuff, and I can save us all. To say nothing of delving once more into the very nature of things.
I can see that I'm going to have to re-examine some of my fundamental assumptions about physics.
As it happened, Dr. Vivian Vernon was having exactly the same kind of thought, albeit in a decidedly different set of circumstances. She, too, could clearly see that she was going to re-examine her fundamental assumptions.
Fun? Did you say fun? I thought I told you we don't allow such words here.
Basic. I mean basic.
Base is a suspicious word as well. And sick, it sounds as though you have a very twisted planet.
Yes, and we need help, as I have said.
Good. I'm glad we're understood. We've practically crushed the Pisons. Only a few more space fleets to mop up. Well then, this evil doctor and his fellows, we have not yet been able to locate them.
It's your ship, why not?
It's a big ship.
As I told you, we're here by accident. I've no idea where Earth is. Once you get us there, there will be no problem. I can tell you exactly what to do.
Your vessel, do you think anything in it might jog your memory? Navigational equipment, perhaps?
Yes, that might be of help.
Excellent. We'll procure your ship for you then. You'll have plenty of time to determine how to use it, and your evil doctor to get back to your native planet.
Fine. In the meantime, have you beaten Dr. Wussman properly?
Thrashed him. Would you like a blow or two?
Oh, that's all right. I'll get my licks in verbally.
He made the most curious range of noises.
Yes, he does that.
We had absolutely no fun at all with it.
Oh, of course not. What a shocking thought.
And I trust you'll not.
I have forsaken the very concept.
True, our ways are decidedly superior. Nonetheless, you are an unusually quick convert.
Only because, in my heart, I have known the path you prunes tread as the correct one.
now that we've finished with your companion, would you like him back?
Sure.
Vivian did not know what to expect, but hopefully it was going to be a more pliable Wussman, a more docile and quieter Geoffrey. Certainly she did not expect the man who actually lumbered into the room. Dr. Geoffrey Wussman, held up by two prunes, was actually smiling. Smiling in a decidedly silly fashion, true, but grinning nonetheless. His seeming happiness annoyed Vivian terribly.
What's going on with you?
It was absolutely wonderful.
The beating? That was wonderful. Better than mine?
No, of course not, my love.
What is it then? Why have you got that dopey smile on your face?
Well, it's what they gave me to drink after the whipping.
What is he talking about?
He must mean the eternal elixir of life liquid, stirred and diluted. It is meant merely as tonic for us to cleanse our minds and hearts, and put a little hair on our chests. The effect upon your fellows most curious. We find his smiles most upsetting. You're not having fun, are you?
His smiles are those of a creature upon whom the truth of right living has just dawned. Isn't that true, Geoffrey?
Yes, I guess so.
Good. Well then, it's agreed. We shall go off and get your ship. We shall bring it back, utilizing it. We will determine where your home planet of Earth is. We will then make plans for its conquest. In the meantime, you will be taken to your quarters for now and given food and drink. We will come for you when we need you. Guards, take them to the room that has been prepared for them, and take them by the very least entertaining path.
Vernon and Wussman were unceremoniously shuffled out, down the most boring, long corridor that Vivian had ever seen, and then ushered into a small room with a chair, a bed, a pitcher of water, and 2 glasses. The door closed. After waiting an appropriate period of time, Vivian attempted to open it without luck. Wussman slumped, exhausted, on the bed.
Well, this is another fine mess Dr. Demopolis has gotten us into.
Oh, Viv, you weren't the one that got the beating.
You loved it. And you got to drink that stuff, whatever it was.
The stuff the aliens had me drink gave me hallucinations. I don't really think I can express it in words.
You tell me, and we'll work out any possible meanings from that.
Oh, gee, Viv, I was kind of hoping we could sort of, fool around.
Haven't you been listening to these guys? They're blue noses. They're probably watching us right now. If we even start acting like we're about to do something unseemly, they'll come in and hose us down like a couple of dogs.
I'll take that chance. I'll take that chance. Oh. I remember it all now.
You remember? You remember what?
The vision.
What are you talking about, man?
That drink they gave me, it gave me a vision of the Prunian conceptual philosophy of the universe. And that pop on the jaw, it made it all fall into place. I see it all now. It's beautiful. It's spectacular. It all falls into place. Oh, catharsis. Oh, holy vision. Oh, hallelujah.
You want to spit it out?
Yea, and verily I walketh out into the wilderness, and above me were the stars.
Cut the pseudo-biblical stuff and tell me what you saw.
I'll try. But it really all does deserve to be described in those kinds of terms.
What did you see? The Virgin Mary? Some apostle? The Buddha? The Holy Grail? The face of God? The one and true tenure?
No, nothing so glorious as that.
Well, then, is it bigger than a bread box?
Bigger than the universe. Yet, microcosmically speaking, able to fit into a single Rice Krispies.
Okay. The new Geoffrey. No more physics. No more let's get physical. The phrase flavor of the day is, let's get metaphysical.
You scoff, O ye of little faith.
Get on with it. Any way you like, just for God's sake, get on with it.
You want to hear about my religious experience?
It would seem that it's more than a religious experience. You've been converted to something.
Yes. And you need to worry no longer about my amorous advances.
I've never worried. I mean, what's that supposed to be?
I've taken a vow of total no fooling aroundhood.
What?
Holy and just folks, do not exchange precious bodily fluids in carnal and craven acts. It's a part of the Prunes Bible which somehow, quite mystically, was engraved on my sensibilities with the drinking of that potion.
Continue, please.
Anyway, like I stated, I found myself in the wilderness. The ultimate truth I learned, however, was that sex was the reason why we human beings cannot concentrate upon the more mystical aspects of existence that our minds were meant for. Mystical states that the prunes can achieve with ease, with only the aid of a good non-illustrated technical manual, very densely printed and readable only with very thick glasses. And so you see, Dr. Vernon, thus I am rid of the petty shackles of my life. However, in my religious conversion, I forsook the pleasures of the flesh. I realize now that the prunes are truly on a righteous path, and I long to aid them to conquer the earth, not to achieve status and power for myself, but for the sake of my fellow human beings.
Oh, well, all the more universities for me.
You, too, should drink the wondrous fluid, and you, too, shall experience the cosmic mysteries.
No, thanks. I'm fine just the way I am. I wonder why they didn't give me any of that stuff. Maybe they were using me as a test control, or maybe it had something to do with my sex appeal.
Oh, by the way, there was one more thing that I noticed in my vision.
Do tell.
There's more to those Heinz baked beans than even that guy called Krillman knows. Oh, yes. Dr. D? He's the devil incarnate.
I could have told you that, my dear. Here.
Oh, yuck.
Dr. Dimension by John DeChancy and David Bischoff. Produced and directed by Steve Ziplo for Ziplo Productions. Featuring the voice talents of John David Rose, Gil Gilbert, Porter Thompson, Candace Cullen, Brad Tholen, Whitney McDaniel, John Earing, Russell Jones, Betty Starrett, and Steve Ziplo. Engineered by Brad Tholen. Music by Tommy Beaumont.
Well, folks, that's all for this episode here on Randy's Old Time Radio Shows. Now, bringing these golden oldies back to life takes no small amount of time and effort from our good friend Randy, cleaning up the audio, converting the files, and making sure each show has the best audio possible. If you've enjoyed the program and you'd like to help keep these classics on the airwaves night after night, why not consider a small donation? Every penny goes straight to supporting Randy's work and helping this channel stay on the air. You'll find the links down in the description below. And for those of you kind souls who've already given, Randy tips his fedora to you. Your support truly keeps this old radio spirit alive. Thanks ever so much. And until next time, Keep those dials tuned and keep the memories rolling.